Hello, good morning from Paris. Sarah and Kelly here, reporting live from Feisty HQ.
Right, from our very Parisian apartment, as opposed to from the triathlon, where we were supposed
to be reporting from.
Yeah.
Kelly, what happened? I know that you sort of had the inside scoop. You got the text from someone who's at the meeting at 3:30 in the morning about the water quality at the triathlon. For anyone who doesn't know, the men's triathlon is postponed until tomorrow. Kelly has all the deets.
So they test at 3 a.m. They have like an internal meeting at 3:30 kind of to decide. And it basically they test.
Can I just start? Just why?
Why 3:30?
It's like why 3:30? I mean, I know they have to decide early. Is that why?
They have to decide enough hours ahead of time.
It changes things.
Yeah. But obviously they want to wait as close to the race as possible. They don't want to decide like the day before. Right. Everything could change. And so anyway, they test a number of spots. They test certain bacteria levels, and there are European standards that they have to meet. And so my understanding is that it was fine in certain spots, but there's still a couple spots that it was too high from like the rain washing. And I guess it has to do with like how much rain came and where it fell, because all the problems in the Seine happened because of like upstream flowing down.
Right.
And so it like rained hard. So you're like, it didn't rain that hard here, but it rained harder upstream where all the houses were still not connected.
Yeah, and that's where like it's they're still not connected to the sewage system. And that's why it's like it's hard to get my head around like changing like the levels enough to have the race go on in like a massive moving body of water.
Sure.
That's like there's so many factors that you can't control, right? So it's like I know that they have their heads around it and they're trying really hard, but I'm just like, how do you
deal with that? I mean, yeah, it's like one of the things where I think it's been easy for a lot of people to be like, why didn't you have a backup plan? Why didn't you this? Why didn't you that? And then on the press conference the other day, there was like the city talking about it. They're kind of like, I know everyone's obsessed with like the swimming aspect, but on the other hand, like we needed to clean this up because it was a problem for like 100 years.
Right.
So,
and that's why like so all the people on our socials who have been like, is there a nearby lake? Why didn't they? Or people like, why didn't they plan this better? Right. It basically, I think that they probably sounds like they were making a goal of trying to clean up the Seine, and like this kind of like aligned with their goal, and it makes like a deadline and a reason.
And before you start hating on that, right? Like that is like a good thing about the Olympics. Like when you do the Olympics correctly, it helps create like sustainable movements within a city that like has long-term health benefits. Like, right? Like when the 84 Olympics in LA came in and like built all these pools and stuff and then used the money to like institute youth programs, it like those pools still exist. Those youth programs still exist in LA.
Right.
So like we can be like, well, they spent 1.6 billion. That's terrible. But like that is an impetus to then make a river that is swimmable for the people of Paris who will then use it, right? Like to solve this sewage problem. So I think sometimes we like do get really distracted by like, oh, it's terrible, but it is also like there's an upside.
Like the cultural impact also you can't quantify. Like Kelly, did you have like an Olympics come near where you lived when you were younger? Or did you you carried the flame?
I did carry the flame when I was in Salt Lake City. I got to carry the Olympic flame when it came through Chicago.
How did you get picked for that?
I won a contest.
Wow.
I know. So I was obsessed with the Olympics when I was little. And so I think my mom nominated me. Of course she did. My mom's my biggest fan. And I wrote an essay. She wrote an essay. And I won a contest sponsored by Coca-Cola. And we got all the gear and the flame. And
I remember the picture of you, little Kelly, responsible for the Olympic flame for a moment.
They have a backup person behind you in case you fuck up.
In case you like set something on fire with the Olympic flame.
So, where we go? Oh, yeah. So anyway, this is like obviously the Kelly and Sarah version of like, but the larger cultural implication.
Right.
But the point is, it rained. It still hadn't cleared yet. People who are like super into like weather patterns were like, yeah, it'll take it. It is going down. It has to be below this like 900 milligrams or whatever liter threshold. It's going down, and they expect it to go down by tomorrow. The reason they postponed it just to tomorrow and not till later is it's supposed to storm again tomorrow night. So your kind of like best shot window is tomorrow, because originally they had these backup dates of Thursday and Friday, and it's like, ooh, that's gonna be good. So it's supposed to be women's at 8 a.m. tomorrow, men at 10:45. I do feel bad for the men because they all like woke up at 4 a.m. and we're like, oh no.
Yeah, like you wake up at 4 a.m., your alarm goes off, you're ready for the Olympic Games. Yeah. You've been prepping for like, probably a decade.
Probably.
And it's like postponed until tomorrow. May or may not even happen. Great.
Yeah, so I do feel bad for them. I feel like it's probably just like stressful. I was thinking about it though too, because like, okay, so we know a lot of these triathletes. We've talked to them plenty before, like now. And now this like whole issue is like, it's on ESPN, it's on SportsCenter, it's on BBC, right? Like now everyone in the world is like freaking out about this. But within triathlon universe, like this shit happens all the time, right? Like,
yeah,
races get moved, races get rescheduled. What were we were talking about? All the reasons we've had races canceled yesterday, like for fog. Or then we talk about even at the Olympics. Like, do you remember Tokyo? There was a boat in front of half the field when the men's race started.
Oh yeah,
they like couldn't dive in. It's not like mistakes don't happen. Like this is actually fairly normal for triathlon.
Right. I was thinking about it this morning, like as this was going down after you texted to be like, turn off your alarm. It's okay. We don't need to go. That like. Because I was like, why didn't they just plan it somewhere else, right? And like, I think, at least I would like to think part of it is like, triathlon's like pretty iconic, you know, in terms of like having a race that's happening like right in somewhere iconic in Paris.
Yeah.
Right? So,
they
like,
wanted
you
it to be
see where, like we were talking earlier, like the beach volleyball is right in front of the Eiffel Tower. Like, so I think that they definitely wanted to like keep this venue. And also how like in the history of the Olympic Games, like these multi-sport things were like one of the ways that like even in the ancient games they found like who's the best overall athlete was like always part of like the reason of the Olympic Games. So I think like triathlon kind of fits with that.
Oh, it 100% is meant to be like the marquee event of this game, partially because the French athletes are so good, and partially because they are into triathlon here, right? Like they have the French Grand Prix. So yeah, they wanted to keep it. I don't think it would have had, like we'll talk a little about, we went to swimming yesterday and so it was really cool, but it's like out in a suburb, right? Like they didn't want to have this event that is like on public streets, like somewhere where there like aren't huge crowds, right? You know? So
yeah,
I get it. My other thought, okay,
so Kelly has a thought from her head. She was thinking it.
Yeah, I came up with my run. I was like, I had a thought I was thinking on my run. Here's what I was thinking. So now that this is like this mainstream topic, all of these people who have no, like, triathlon's a new thing to them, right? They're like, oh, they shouldn't be able to, like, they shouldn't swim. It's bad for their health. They're going to get sick. They're going to get like stomach flu maybe for 24 hours. Do you know how many more physical repercussions every Olympic athlete has put themselves through? Like this is the thing that the public's worried about, like slight GI distress for 24 hours instead of like lifelong physical, like scars from gymnastics. You know what I mean? Like out of all the things in the Olympics.
Yeah.
This is not the thing that is going to be the like most problematic. Like that was what I was thinking. I was like, really? This is what we're worried about?
Some of the mental health challenges you see, like in anything in life where people build up to one big thing and then afterwards, like I even saw it coaching people who do Ironman, just average everyday athletes. Like after the race, the massive downswing can be really rough on people.
And it's just like, and I know we joke about sometimes, but like being a Olympic athlete at the very top level is not a physically healthy endeavor.
Right.
It is not the E. coli for 24 hours that is the big problem.
Yeah. And what you mean by that is like you have to push you have to push yourself that far. You have to push yourself that far. Like you're literally trying to do something that like other humans can't do.
Right. So if you ask this is what I was like, if you ask any one of those athletes, I can guarantee you out of the 110 triathletes racing, the women and men, they all would race.
Right.
They are like,
oh yeah,
like this is not the dirtiest water they've raced in by far.
Yeah.
This is not the sickest. They don't care. They do not care if they're going to get sick for 24 hours unless they're in the relay and then they like need to preserve themselves. But they do not like it is not a concern. They are not.
There are probably a couple like when I say like weaker quote unquote like swimmers who are still amazing swimmers who are probably low-key hoping that it's going to turn into a duathlon.
Sure. And they're like, of course, like you can have complications, of course, like, you know, I'm not saying like there aren't issues. I'm just saying they would all take it over all the other things they have gone through.
Totally. Okay, so we are going to talk about something other than triathlon because we're here to cover the entire women's side of the Olympic Games. But yeah, it is the hot topic right now. We're going to take a little break to hear from some of our partners, and then Kelly and I are going to come back and talk about our trip to swimming last night.
If you're like us, you're totally inspired by Katie Ledecky and Summer McIntosh and more ready than ever to up your swim training. So let's take a minute to talk about hair and skincare for swimmers. You've probably asked yourself questions like, how can I keep my hair healthy and hydrated as a swimmer? How can I avoid my skin feeling itchy and dry after being in the pool? And how can I get rid of those pesky goggle marks around my eyes? Enter TryHard. TryHard has pre- and post-swim solutions designed to reduce the absorption of pool and ocean chemicals into your hair and skin. We love using TryHard's pre and post swim conditioner before and after every swim to keep our hair feeling great. TryHard also has a bunch of other products useful for swimmers, like their pre and post swim eye gel, which totally works for getting rid of those pesky goggle marks and puffy eye feeling, while providing hydration and a cooling effect. TryHard products are vegan, dermatologically tested, and packaged in recycled plastic. Whether you're swimming in the pool, the ocean, or maybe even the Seine, take care of your hair and skin with TryHard. Use the code FEISTYGAMES for 22% off site-wide at tryhard.co. Plus, you'll get an extra 5% off during sales on top of the already discounted price. That's Feisty Games for 22% off at tryhard.co. Historically, athletic footwear has been designed, researched, and tested for men. Brands have relied on the shrink it and pink it approach to sell male shoes to female customers. That's why we are so excited Heddas is working with us on our Paris coverage. Heddas is building high-performance, technical running shoes for women from the ground up. They operate from a purely female perspective, which we love, and their mission is to ensure the female running experience gets the funding, research, and recognition it deserves. Heddas has unlocked the science behind women's biomechanics through dedicated research and creates better shoes for women's performance. Some of Heddas' special features include a lower ankle collar to reduce rubbing on women's ankle bones, a breathable mesh toe box to allow for ventilation and accommodate female toe shape, and a supercritical foam and Pebax plate midsole to keep our legs going when the going gets tough. Heddas has 3 shoe models designed for different sessions: the Alma Cruise for long runs, the Alma Tempo for training days, and the Alma Speed for pushing the pace. Celebrate the outstanding performances at the Olympics with your own pair of Heddas. Use the code FEISTY20 for 20% off at heddas.com. That's Feisty20 for 20% off at heddas.com.
All right, and the biggest problem was we had to get up at 4 a.m. When we got home from swimming last night at like 11 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard being an Olympic fan, you know?
You know, it's really difficult. No, it was so worth it last night. So last night, Kelly and I went to the swimming venue, and it, like, the vibe was amazing, like, right from the beginning. Like, when they had the lights down, or the lights kind of off and all the, pink lights and the rave, the rave music. It was
kind of funny. Okay, so the swimming venue is kind of out in the suburb of Paris. And so you get off the train and you're walking through this, like, I don't know, to me it looked very like San Francisco suburbs, tech development.
Yeah,
like
a lot more modern than like Paris.
Right. It's not like Paris. It's like tech development-y suburb. And you walk into this stadium and you're walking up like concrete, boring stairs with like no and I was like, all right, man, I guess this is what they have to do. And then we walk in and it's like boom, and lights and music. And I was like, huh, all right then.
It was amazing. And then like right out of the gates, like Summer McIntosh in the 4x400 IM final. Yes. Just gold medal, our Canadian girl who's like, and I can say girl because she is 17 years old. That's wild.
And I will say, so we were sitting like not that high up, but like pretty high up looking down. And it just looks like they're not even swimming that hard.
It does. I've never seen a 50-meter pool from that vantage point before because we were like quite high up. So you're looking down on them, like Kelly said. And like I said to you a couple times, like it looks like if they make it look like 25 meters.
Right. Because they like are underwatering like a third of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, in their butterfly, I was like,
so at the beginning of the race, so Summer pulls out like quickly to the front, like during fly, like fly back breastfree,
which is always interesting because some people are better at some strokes than others. So it kind of like
So Kelly's like, oh, presumably like some of the other women there are like better at some of the other strokes. I'm like, because I kind of assume that like that's what you see in IM, but like hell's no, she just like
some people did catch up to the other people,
right?
But not
right,
her.
Or like they were like. Once she pulled the head on that fly, though, she did not let it go. Like that was it. It was amazing.
It was pretty good. It was pretty fun to see. There were a couple. It was like a lot of finals yesterday. Yeah. We also saw the 200 free final, which was the Australians. The Australians have been dominating, but it's super interesting to be in one of those stadiums that's just like packed. Like I've never been swimming before. It's one of the big events of the Olympics, but it's like a smaller stadium than the track, so it's like a harder ticket to get. And you just do have like all the countries there and a lot of people who are on the teams, but like they are out or they didn't make it to finals. And so they're there to support their teammates and like a lot of family and so you would just like, you would be like, oh, we're all here to watch. And then you'd realize like the Romanian contingent was next to you and they would start going nuts for like the guy who won the 200
Like the
back or
very
something
loud
like that.
Americans coming.
Right. There was a whole American section right next to us who right before they say quiet for the start and everyone quiets. And then the American section would scream because, you know, we just
You just gotta
be.
It was also cool to see like how they organize like kind of the athletes, like how it goes after the race. So like afterwards they all have to exit on lane 0, right? And the guy's announcing like every time he's announcing exit on lane 0. And then there's there's places where they do interviews where there's cameras, they do a walk around, they
walk them like all the way after they do the whole victory ceremony. They walk them like all the way around the pool,
the stadium lap.
They keep like pausing to take like, you know, so 30 people can take the same picture of like Summer holding her flag up.
And then they had all those boxes with the media in, and like so like media had like these. This is kind of after. Was it after the?
So it's like after the races, they're led up into this like interview section because one whole side of the stadium is just media, and within that media section, there is a row of like, you know, all the key broadcasters, CBC, NBC, 9 in Australia, BBC. And so it's like each of the athletes then is like escorted by one of the many volunteers, which is what we're going to talk about in a second, to whichever booth is like there, right? Who wants to talk to them. And so it's like a whole like choreographed. And I was thinking, it's also like, it's someone's job to be like, okay, stop hugging your family. We have to move on.
They were moving Olympians on from like, we know you just won a gold medal,
but we've got more shit to get through.
Keep going. And so, okay, but Canada, with our 17-year-old, we're not the only country that's like kind of setting records.
No,
right?
I mean,
not just Olympic records, but records within.
There aren't a lot of like world records being set at the pool. It's kind of a slower pool. There's been a lot of like drama about that in the swim world. But what we were like sitting next to Romanians. They were going nuts and they're like guy just out touch like that. It was like a super close.
That was a super
touch issue situation. You couldn't tell one. They went nuts.
Was it 200 free?
Yeah, it was like 100 back. Right. There was a couple hundred breath, and he so they were going crazy because he like won, and obviously they don't win a lot of medals. But then like the Irish girl got third in the 100 breast, I want to say, and like Ireland, I think it was their first medal in 28 years or something like that. They have a team of 4 swimmers, I believe. So they were going nuts, and so it's so interesting. Like once you realize that, you're like, oh, there are all these milestones being set for all these countries beyond like Simone Biles, right? It's like, oh, it's the first medal for Ireland in swimming in 28 years. It's the first Romanian medal. It's the like Nigerian women won their first basketball game in the Olympic, like in Olympic history yesterday, right? So there's like all South Sudan men, which like isn't that where we're talking about women's sports, but like South Sudan's only been a country for 2 decades and they won a basketball game yesterday.
Oh, cool.
So that was like a really big deal. So it's like all these things are being set like all over that are like a huge deal in those countries and you like never hear about them.
And that's what the Olympics is for. I love it.
So it was really cool. It was really fun. It was really cool to see. It's just like interesting to see all the people come together.
Yes.
Into one place.
All that, like, honestly, having all different countries, because there were a lot of countries represented. Like, obviously, the Americans were just really loud.
They were.
But, like,
there weren't that many Americans competing, actually.
Yeah. No. And actually, like, France was the best represented, like, the loudest cheers for the French medals. But, like, still, there was, like, people from, like, any country that won a medal
there was like
there to
Hong
cheer.
Kong, there was Ireland, there was Ukraine, it was everybody.
It was cool.
Of course, Australians. So,
yeah, of course, in the pool. So speaking of like coordinating efforts to get all this Olympic Games things going, we've been talking a lot about like just as we're walking around too, it's quite something like how well I know we kind of made fun of the security a lot yesterday, but like there is a ton of coordination that you can even see like behind the scenes. Like I would not want to be in charge of like making sure that everyone's going in the right place at the right time.
Right. It's like obviously what happens is like everyone's in charge of like this is my thing I'm in charge of. I'm only in charge of my lane. Because like when we were going out to something like we had to take the train and then we had to get off the train. And there are people whose job, like, and they're volunteers, I'm pretty sure, whose job is to like stand at this train station and point.
I love the pink foam fingers. They're like people whose job was like they had a pink foam finger that said like Paris swimming or something.
Yeah.
And then, or the name of the venue. And then they just were like, swimming? And they're like just pointing. Yes.
And you're like, yes. And like
I get this
we were wandering around Lost in the main train station here on our way out. And yeah, you're like, someone stops you and is like, do you need help?
Yeah. Like an Olympic credentials
Right.
on, we're like, we do actually.
We do. So there's a lot of volunteers, a lot of infrastructure, everyone. And obviously it's like those jobs all, right? Like I'm sure there's a person whose job is like overall management of the game, but then there's a person whose job is beach volleyball. And there's a person whose job is swimming. And there's a person whose job is like transportation. And there's and then each of those people, then there's a person within swimming whose job is like inflow, outflow, and whose job is like concessions, right? Like,
yeah.
So there's like a billion jobs. So we actually talked yesterday to somebody whose job is victory ceremony coordinator.
Right. Like, and we're going to talk to Christine now, but like, I actually was thinking about her a lot when we were watching the medal ceremony, because I was like, this is an important job. So we were so glad to talk to Christine.
We're with Christine Conger. Christine, you're working the Olympics. What is your actual job?
My actual job title is Victory Ceremony Producer.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So basically, I tell people where to stand and where to go and how the athletes will get their medals after their competition.
So you get to go to a bunch of different competitions then and do the victory ceremonies?
Yeah, victory ceremonies. Yes, I'm considered roving, which means I'm not assigned to a specific venue. So I go to all the different venues, and I'm lucky enough today to be at the Urban Park. I'll be at triathlon tomorrow, rugby, and so on and so forth. So I get to see a little bit of everything.
Wow. All right. And Sarah really wants to know, how do you get your job? How do you get this job?
So I started this fun career path in 2010 when the Olympics were in my hometown. I randomly ended up getting the job, and since then I've worked victory ceremonies a little bit all over the world. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, it's a bit of a niche thing.
I was going to say, do you specialize in victory ceremonies then?
Yes and no. I've done it a bunch, so I know sort of the ins and outs, and I know the different rules and requirements and guidelines. It's a little bit different at every games, but obviously the IOC has some pretty strict things that they expect us to do, so it's very precise, and there's a lot of choreography involved. So yeah,
I was gonna say, so what's like specific about a victory ceremony that's like beyond just like, okay, you're an event organizer and logistics? Like, what's specific about the Olympics and the medals?
So obviously there's a lot of expectations from the IOC family, from sponsors, from athletes, from the viewing public. We do a bunch of rehearsals. We work with TV. We work with the in-venue sound producers, the announcers. We work with logistics to get the podiums on the field, and we all have to do it. The tricky part is it has to happen within about 5 minutes after the event is over. So once they say go, it's go.
I did notice they were happening very quickly this year.
Yeah, so if we do it on the field of play, which is what we call like where they do the sport, if it's immediately after competition, we are bound by the TV rules. So they don't want to cut to commercial, so we have to do it within 5 minutes.
All right, so that just made me think, all of the anthems, do you have every anthem for every country lined up?
We have every anthem, we have every flag, everything's lined up, yep.
Wow, all right. And how many, I mean, you maybe, this isn't like, I'm not going to quote you, but like how many people are working the Olympics? Like how many staff are out here?
Oh my gosh, thousands. It ranges from full-time staff to contractors to volunteers to suppliers. I mean, it's huge.
Okay.
It's huge.
So like at an event, like we're right by the Urban Park right now, which I feel like we have to tell people what the Urban Park is.
Right. So the Urban Park has been built on top of a place called La Concorde, which is a historic tourist site in Vancouver. Oh my gosh, in Paris, and it's hosting skateboard, BMX, 3x3 basketball, breaking, and that's it.
Because we're celebrating urban culture.
Urban culture, and you've noticed these games have a really young field. The colorways of the whole event are like pink and purple, and they're really focusing. They've got a huge youth population involved. So yeah.
Our 27-year-old did say she really liked the colors.
That's good.
You're like, good. Okay, so at the Urban Park, like how many staff are working? Because you're just doing the victory ceremony, but obviously other people are doing other things. Like how much staff is involved in just the Urban Park?
I would easily say on a daily basis there's probably about 2,000 staff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's basically a 24-hour cycle working there. Logistics is getting, deliveries in, food and beverage. There's the sports staff. There's the behind-the-scenes staff. There's media. There's, you name it. They're there. Yeah.
Have you guys actually gotten any off time? Do you get to see anything outside of your job? Do you get to see Paris?
Yeah, so yesterday I snuck away to Versailles. I went to watch some of the equestrian because I love it. That's probably it for me from now. Like now it's go time. We're on live every day. So.
So I know we're only in like day 3, but what's been the craziest thing that's happened so far?
I don't even know where to start. Every day, so I can describe it as every day you wake up with a plan, and then the plan, you can basically tear it up, throw it out the window, because something like, for example, today we've been figuring out how to install flagpoles in a venue. Like it's all these crazy things, and every day it's a little something different that you have to tackle. And the days go by like that.
What's been the best part then so far?
Yesterday I asked Tony Hawk if anybody ever told him if he looks like Tony Hawk, and that was really funny.
That's awesome. Oh, I guess all right, if you were for people who are here and you understand the logistics, what's your tip for them?
Bring your patience, bring your sunscreen, learn the metro system, and when you have a question to a French person, start with bonjour, don't start with excusez-moi.
Oh, okay.
Here at Feisty, we are dedicated to partnering with brands that are mission-driven and having an impact. That's why we are thrilled to be supported by Joni, a company creating game-changing period care for everybody. Many conventional menstrual products rely on plastic made from petroleum, a non-renewable resource. Did you know that in the US, approximately 12 billion pads and 7 billion tampons are discarded annually, and these products generate over 200,000 tons of plastic waste per year? It can take 500 to 800 years for a single petroleum-based plastic disposable pad to decompose due to its materials. And tampons with applicators also contribute to plastic waste, which can take centuries to break down. Joni is dedicated to bring the wasteful and antiquated feminine hygiene industry into the 21st century. Using a design-led approach, Joni's personal care products and commercial dispensers provide the most innovative and accessible period and leak care solutions in the world. Organic and free of harmful levels of chemicals or irritating fragrances, Joni's pads and tampons support menstrual health and the environment, while allocating at least 2% of revenues to break the cycle of period poverty, dismantle menstrual stigmas, and empower periods. Now that's what we call 21st century period care. Ditch uninspiring and irritating feminine hygiene products and say hi to Joni's silky soft, super absorbent, and toxin-free pads and tampons. Joni pads feature a wrapper and protective layer made from cornstarch, a plant-based material, making them biodegradable and compostable in the right conditions. Joni tampons are made with organic cotton. They're compostable, including the wrapper, which is made of cellulose. Choosing sustainable period products isn't just a trend, it's a movement. You can get 10% off your order with the code Feisty at getjoni.com. That's 10% off at GETJONI.com with the code Feisty.
Okay, we're back. Okay, just coming out of we're so grateful for our partners, and they're definitely the reason we can be here. So Try Hard, Joni, and Heddes, thank you so much. And if you all want to try their products, go in there, use the discount codes. It helps us to be here. So thank you to all of our partners.
And things have been picking up. I feel like we had a little bit of a ramp up, and now I feel like it's really going, it's really happening. Having more fun. What are you looking forward to?
Okay, so tonight when we go to rugby, it's my first time watching Rugby Sevens, and I know it's fast and furious, and I'm very excited about it. And I do rugby just in general.
And Canada, so we're going to the 2 medal matches, and Canada right now made it through to the semi, so they'll be in at least one of the medal matches. Yes. And US will be in one. We just don't know which one.
I can't believe, and Ella and Millie went to the rugby yesterday, and they were saying that we can't believe Canada beat France. I'm so excited for those.
Yeah.
Women.
It'll be, we'll see what happens if it's US versus Canada. That'll be exciting. And then my big, then after that, really late tonight here in Paris, but we gotta watch it, is women's gymnastics team all around.
Oof, yes.
We gotta watch the US take that back.
Is that what's gonna happen?
That's what's gonna happen. Just so you know,
it's gonna be streaming here in our Paris apartment.
Yeah.
And then,
you can't get tickets. You have to be Snoop Dogg to get tickets.
I want to make friends with Snoop Dogg. I'm very thrilled that Snoop Dogg has become it's like having a moment in the Olympic movement. They brought him into the NBC broadcast. I mean, they did that.
They did. But it was at the gymnastics qualifying, which was obviously even now it's the finals. It was Sarah Jessica Parker, Snoop Dogg, Lady Gaga. And I'm like, yeah, no, like, we're not gonna get tickets.
We're not
to that. Yeah. So, but we gotta watch it, and then we're gonna, find out where the after party is.
Excellent. Crash the after party. And Kelly, I'm excited about. I mean, despite all of my, I'm trying to exit triathlon. I am very excited to watch the Olympic triathlon tomorrow. I am like all positive energy for it going ahead at 8:00 for the women's race and afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, we're sending good vibes. They want to race. I want them to race. Yeah. Let them deal with food poisoning later.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Not food poisoning.
Yeah.
Let them deal with it later.
That's our vote.
Let them race.
Let them deal with the E. coli later.
Yeah. It's fine.